up guys, BloodZelos, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do a building world tour. I have had this building world now for over a year and there are a lot of builds in it. Today we are going to go fly around, check out every build. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the build, the story behind it, and then we'll move on to the next one. In the description there will be a link to every single build in the order that I look at it in the video, assuming I can fit them all in the description. So if you see a build that you want to watch the video for, you can go ahead and check it out. Not every building tutorial I've ever done is in this world, and not every building in this world has had a video done on it, but for the most part there is a video for every one of these buildings, so check the description to watch what you want to watch. Other than that though, please leave a like. It's going to take me forever to do that description. It's going to take a lot of work, but please leave a like if you enjoy, and once this is done there will be a world download as well in the description, so you can go ahead and just download the world for yourself. First up here we have this was a house tutorial, simple survival house that I just uploaded a couple days ago. Pretty nice house, not a lot to talk about there. Right here, this was a building tips. I did a building tips on, I believe it was wall designs. So here we have a little bit of a wall designs thing. That was from quite a while ago, that's an older one. Here's a very recent build. On the edges of the world are the most recent, just because that's where I find the space to build them. This was the nature themed build that was a couple days ago, fairly recent. Moving on over here, this is the modern house, another fairly recent video and one of my favorite houses I've done to date. It's just a beautiful house. I really like it. It's great. Now over here what we have is two giant castle kind of test designs. I was just messing around. There are no videos on either of these. They're just kind of here. And then this one over here I believe is some form of cathedral, which I never finished. I think if I was ever going to, these are like a year old, I would go back and I would restart, but those were some experimentations I was doing. I don't know what this is right here. I think this may have been another attempt at the all wood challenge. It would have been my third attempt before I did the one that we'll see in a little bit. But I think that's what that is. Otherwise, I have no clue what that building is. So anyways, moving on, this is the barn. This is one of my favorite all-time tutorials because there's a difference between building a really nice building and building a really nice building that matches what you envisioned in your head. And I love this barn because it is exactly what I pictured in my head to the T, and it really does look like a real barn that you would see in real life. So I love that. There's a tutorial on how to build that in the description. Moving on over here, this was a building challenge. Someone challenged me to build the Pokemon Center, and I did that. It turned out to be a little bit harder than I thought, just because of the Pokemon Center is a very round kind of building, and this is not. But there is the Pokemon Center. I did my best, so building challenge on that. Over here, I believe this was a building challenge as well. This was a futuristic themed building challenge, and that's what I did here. I like this one. I think it turned out really cool. It's definitely weird and strange, but hey, that's what the future is, right? Moving on to this one. This, I believe, was a no-break building challenge from quite a while ago. That meant that every block I placed on this build, I had to keep. I couldn't break anything. And I think that's what turned out. It's kind of weird. It's very strange. But if you want to watch me fail on that, you can do that. Over here, this I believe is the second or third build to ever go in this world. This is the dirt house. This was the very first building challenge. That's for a pretty big series now. I think I've got over 20 episodes of that, but this was the very first one. It was a challenge to build a dirt house. So there you go. First building challenge. Moving on to here. This is the first build to ever go in this world, and I actually put a sign on the door for this one because I thought I was going to put a sign on every build, and this is the only one I did on, but it was a tutorial. I did a tutorial on a modern restaurant, and that's what that is. We can go run inside here really quickly. It was a nice little build. A lot of these builds are older, and I have gotten a lot better at building, even in the last couple months, so not all of these are the best I can do now, but they're there, and I like them, so that's that. Over here, we have the medieval church. This was another building tutorial I did right after the restaurant, I think. Medieval church, nice small little building, but it's kind of fancy. I got a little cemetery over here. If you want to go watch that tutorial, again, check the description. It's going to be such a mess of links. This was my first simple survival starter house kind of design. This was the predecessor to the one that came out a couple days ago. It did really well. It was a good video. The house is kind of bland now that I look back on it, but it's not a bad house. So there's a tutorial on that one as well. Over here, we have the very recent building challenge. This was the all wood challenge. And a lot of people want me to do a tutorial on this house. I got a lot of comments for that, but I don't know if it would be interesting to upload a tutorial on a building that, that you already saw me build. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that, but I might. But that's what that is. Then we have this. This was the Western themed building challenge. I had to build a Western themed building, and I don't know what the time limit was, but you can check that video out too. Not the best build, but it kind of met the requirements. I can't say it's my favorite build in this world, but it got it done, so that's that. Here was the backyard building tips. The only building tips that's come out in the last like 5 or 6 months was backyards, and so that was the set I used for the actual video. Over here was a completely failed attempt. There is no video on this at building. I just wanted to build a really giant kind of 4-pronged house with a nice tower. This was actually for an SMP that I was playing on, but it didn't turn out that great. I gave up pretty quickly. I realized it's too big and clunky. That will probably never be touched again. This right here is actually the second of these 2 sets. Normally, the first time I build something, I'll build it on a server or in my other build world or something like that, and then I'll come to this build world for the tutorial. This is one of the few occasions where I actually built the original in this world, and then I just moved over here to build the tutorial version. So that does happen occasionally. That's why there is 2 of those. Right here we have the Skyrim themed building challenge. This is one of my favorite building challenges. I think it turned out really nicely. It was supposed to look like a lot of the inns that you see in some of the big Skyrim towns. So that's what that is. That was a cool building challenge. I think there was a time limit too. This tiny little house right here was the 7x7 building challenge, and it didn't turn out that great. I don't really like it. I mean, I guess it was an okay video, but the house is really ugly, so I apologize for that. Let's move on. Let's not look at that anymore. Here we go. This was steampunk. This is one of my favorite builds because it was the first time I ever really expanded into anything that wasn't modern very seriously. This was the first steampunk build I ever did, and I did a building tutorial on this exact house right here. So check that one out. That's a good video. I like that. That's a really cool build. Although I still think if I came back today, I could do a better job of it. Then what we have right here is the stone only building challenge. I think I was challenged to build with only stone, although I did use windows apparently. And I just kind of came up with this weird shape. It's nothing special, but it's kind of interesting shape. And I'm not sure, there was a time limit on that as well, I believe, probably 10 minutes. This was a building tutorial. I believe I called it the Greek Parthenon tutorial, which if you ever Google pictures of the Greek Parthenon, you will find that this looks nothing like the Greek Parthenon, but it does look very Greek. So that's what this is, and there's a building tutorial on how to do that. Just kind of a cool thing you could put on a server if you ever needed some giant Greek-looking building. Flying on over here, we have front yard building tips. I did do a building tips video on how to do front yards, and that's what this was here. So we have our fake little house and door, and the signs are kind of messed up, don't bother. But this is how we did the front yards there, so you can check that out. Another building challenge over here. This was the Nether-themed building challenge. Ooh, this house is kind of cool. I like this house just because one of the things I'm really good at in building is shapes. I just make a lot of weird shapes, and my brain does a lot of crazy things. But when you're only allowed to use nether blocks, you have to do some strange things, some strange kind of ideas. So that's what I came up with there, was this kind of nether block design, and it's not terrible. This was a cool video. This was the upside down house. I had to build this house upside down, so I was basically looking up the entire video building it, and then I flipped my whole screen upside down to show it off. But that's what this is, the upside down house building challenge, and it's actually not a bad house. It turned out pretty nice considering I couldn't see what I was doing for most of the time. Okay. Here, I think this was actually a building challenge, this lone wall. I think I had 5 minutes to build a castle wall, or some sort of wall design. I think it was just a wall, and this is what I came up with. So I think there's a video on that, but no promises. That could just be a random wall that is in the world. I'm not sure, but I think that's what that is. Okay, this here, I did a tutorial on this house. It's just another modern house. I actually originally built this house in a live stream. I did a live building challenge, and then people really liked the challenge and liked the house that came out of it. So then I decided to turn it into a tutorial, and I uploaded that a couple days later, and that's what that is. So another modern house tutorial. Not bad. Okay, over here we have the first time that I built this kind of building that I did a tutorial on not too long ago, probably about a month ago, a tutorial on this medieval house, and there's actually another one in the world. This was an example of something I built twice in this world on accident. Here we have our underground building challenge. Not a great build because it was timed and I ran out of time really quickly, but it was just a kind of a concept on how you could build an entrance underground that looks kind of cool. It almost looks like a bunker, I think. But that's that. This was an attempt, this was the predecessor to that when I was just seeing how big I could go, and it turned out not very big. The answer was not very big, but I tried. This was the Suburban House Building Challenge. I did a tutorial on how to build a nice suburban house, which is a style I've only ever done one of, and I may come back and do another one of those at some point. But that's what we have right there, nice suburban house. I think it looks kind of nice. It's not bad. It's what you'd see in like a nice little modern day neighborhood kind of thing. Over here we have the 5x5, or no, it was the 5-minute Norwegian challenge, Norwegian house challenge, and this was fairly recent. Someone was like, this doesn't look like the houses in Norway. Well, probably not, because Norway is not in the 3rd century, but that's kind of the idea behind that. So that was a building challenge, 5 minutes. It was cool. Over here, this is one of the first videos I uploaded when I got back to YouTube. This is the Italian villa building challenge right here. And I like this one a lot. It turned out really great. So that's a fairly recent video, but a very nice build in my opinion. And I don't think that was really well edited. This video was cool because I did it was the first time I ever did really a ton of cutting and editing, and it was definitely entertaining to watch. But there was no time limit on that build, so that was kind of a fun one. Getting to the end here, we have the lighthouse building challenge. Not building challenge, building tutorial. I did a tutorial on this lighthouse not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and it turned out pretty nicely, so if you haven't seen that, make sure to check that out. Here's a building challenge I did very recently. This is a weird one. This was a 9x9 modern house, and I came up with this weird shape, and someone even commented, they were like, dude, that's weird, and I was like, you're right, this is a very weird building. But it got the job done. It's 9x9 and it's a modern house, and it definitely has a lot of characteristics of a modern house, so I considered that a success. But that was a cool building challenge. If you want to check that out, another one that I did a lot of editing on, and it was pretty fun to watch. Right here, least favorite build in the entire world. If I could destroy anything in this world, it would be this tree house. This was a building challenge, and it's ugly. It's terrible. People were like, dude, don't be so hard on yourself. That's really cool. And I was like, I'm gonna be hard on myself. This looks terrible. It's very ugly. It's so ugly. It was supposed to be a nice little tree house. If I came back, I might redo that challenge, see if I can do something better, because it's just really bad. Please agree with me. That's pretty ugly. But that was a building challenge, so what can you expect? And over here, this was the tutorial that I actually did on the medieval house right there. So you can see that looking all pretty. And that's about it. Over here, I just tried to build this is for a future build. I might do some sort of tower, and that's kind of the roof I would do. So I was just messing around with that. But that is every build in my build world. I think after this video, I'm gonna start a new build world. We're gonna get another year of builds into the next one. I think that'll be pretty fun. So there is, again, a download in the description. Make sure to check that out. Download the world if you wanna see how to build these all. It's a lot easier than watching the video. But if you wanna see any of these videos, again, there's a link in the description in the order that I talked about them. To every video, or as many as I could fit at least in the description, because there's a limit on YouTube descriptions. But other than that, this is the build world. It's been a good year of building, guys. The support has been amazing. I love each and every one of you who leaves comments and likes and support on all the videos. And let's go into this new year and keep that all up. Let's keep it up. But other than that, I can't thank you guys enough. I do hope you enjoy all of the building. And I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, because I'm going to spend the next 7 hours writing the description. Thank you. Goodbye.